Soulmate breaking news, their heart has made a final choice, they're ready to return and prove their love to you. My beloved child, listen closely, because this message is coming to you at a moment when something deep inside your soulmate has changed. For a long time, there may have been confusion, distance, silence, hesitation, and emotions that were never fully expressed. But now the energy of this connection is moving into a different chapter. Something inside them has become clear. They have been thinking, remembering, comparing, reflecting, and confronting feelings they once tried to avoid. And now their heart is beginning to make a choice. My beloved child, there was a time when your soulmate may have believed that walking away would make everything easier. They may have thought that distance would help them forget. They may have convinced themselves that what they felt for you was temporary. They may have believed that enough time would erase the memories and allow them to move forward without looking back. But time did something they did not expect. Instead of erasing the connection, time gave them perspective. Instead of making your memory weaker, distance sometimes made them understand your value more clearly. My beloved child, they are beginning to realize that not every connection can be replaced. They may have met other people. They may have experienced different relationships, conversations, attractions, and situations. But somewhere inside, they continued comparing those experiences with what they felt around you. They may have discovered that attention is not the same as emotional safety. Attraction is not the same as trust. Excitement is not the same as peace. And having someone nearby is not the same as having someone who truly understands your heart. My beloved child, this realization may have taken longer than you wanted, but it is becoming difficult for them to ignore. They are remembering the little things. They remember your words. They remember your patience. They remember the way you listened. They remember the moments when you believed in them. They remember the times when you supported them even when they did not know how to support themselves. They remember your kindness when they were difficult. They remember your presence during moments when they felt alone. And now they may be asking themselves a painful question: how could I have failed to see the value of this person when they were right there? My beloved child, this is the beginning of accountability. They may be looking back at their choices differently now. They may realize that pride influenced them. Fear influenced them. Confusion influenced them. Perhaps they were afraid of commitment. Perhaps they were afraid of vulnerability. Perhaps they were afraid of being hurt. Perhaps they were afraid that loving you deeply would give you too much power over their emotions. Whatever the reason, they may now understand that running away did not make the feelings disappear. It only created distance between two people who still carried unfinished emotions. My beloved child, there may be moments when they suddenly feel the weight of your absence. They may be surrounded by people and still feel something missing. They may laugh with others and still remember the comfort they felt with you. They may achieve something important and instinctively wish they could tell you. They may experience a difficult day and remember how easily they once talked to you. They may see something that reminds them of you and feel an emotional reaction they cannot explain. These moments can become powerful because they reveal what the heart still values. My beloved child, your soulmate may have tried to convince themselves that they were completely over the connection. But the heart does not always follow the story the mind creates. A person can say, "I am done," while their emotions continue asking questions. They can say, "I have moved on," while certain memories continue returning. They can say, "It was nothing," while their heart knows it was something. And eventually, the gap between what they say and what they feel becomes too large to maintain. My beloved child, this is why their heart is making a final choice. They are beginning to understand that pretending is exhausting. Pretending they do not care is exhausting. Pretending they do not miss you is exhausting. Pretending they have no regrets is exhausting. At some point, honesty becomes easier than denial. And that is where they may be standing now. My beloved child, they may be considering reaching out. They may be imagining the conversation. They may be thinking about what they would say. They may wonder whether you would answer. They may wonder whether you still have feelings. They may wonder whether you would forgive them. They may fear that you have already moved on. They may worry that they waited too long. These thoughts can create hesitation, but the desire to know the truth may eventually become stronger than the fear of rejection. My beloved child, if they return, remember that you do not have to become the old version of yourself. You have changed. You have learned. You have grown. You have discovered that your heart deserves consistency. You have discovered that love without communication can become painful. You have discovered that waiting endlessly for someone to decide your worth is not healthy. You have discovered that you can love someone and still choose yourself. This new understanding will shape whatever happens next. My beloved child, their return should not require you to abandon the lessons you learned during the separation. If they come back, let them meet the person you have become. Let them see that your heart is still capable of love, but your standards are stronger. Let them understand that access to your life is not automatic. Trust must be rebuilt. Communication must be consistent. Intentions must be clear. Actions must support words. My beloved child, perhaps they are now realizing that you were not asking them for perfection. You were asking them to be present. You were asking them to communicate. You were asking them to be honest. You wanted to know that the feelings were mutual. Perhaps they misunderstood your needs. Perhaps they saw your desire for reassurance as pressure. Perhaps they interpreted your questions as demands. But now they may realize that your heart was simply trying to understand where it stood. My beloved child, they may be replaying old conversations and realizing that some of the things you said were actually warnings about what would happen if nothing changed. Perhaps you told them that you could not continue with uncertainty. Perhaps you told them that you needed clarity. Perhaps you told them that you were tired of feeling alone inside the connection. And now they may finally understand what you were saying. They may see that you were not trying to push them away. You were trying to protect your heart. My beloved child, regret can become very powerful when a person understands that they lost something because of their own choices. They may not blame you anymore. They may begin blaming themselves. They may think about what they could have done differently. They may wish they had communicated sooner. They may wish they had listened more carefully. They may wish they had been brave enough to admit how much they cared. And now they may be wondering whether they can still repair what was broken. My beloved child, if they are truly changing, they will not only talk about regret. They will take responsibility. They will acknowledge what happened. They will not expect you to forget the past immediately. They will understand that trust takes time. They will understand that you have a right to be cautious. They will understand that rebuilding is a process. This is how you will know whether the change is real. My beloved child, your soulmate may also be experiencing jealousy or fear that someone else has entered your life. They may wonder whether you still think about them. They may wonder whether someone else now makes you happy. They may realize that you are becoming more confident and independent. And perhaps this realization is making them understand that the world did not stop while they were away. You continued living. You continued growing. You continued becoming stronger. And that may create urgency within them. My beloved child, they may finally understand that if they want another opportunity, they cannot assume you will remain emotionally available forever. This does not mean you should try to make them jealous. Do not play games. Do not create false appearances. Simply live your life honestly. Your growth speaks louder than manipulation ever could. My beloved child, your soulmate may be watching your journey from a distance, but what matters most is whether they eventually have the courage to participate honestly. Observation is not commitment. Thinking about you is not commitment. Missing you is not commitment. Commitment becomes visible through action. If they truly want to return, they must move from thought into behavior. My beloved child, perhaps the first step will be small. A message. A question. A greeting. A reaction. An unexpected conversation. Do not underestimate a small beginning, but do not overinterpret it either. Let the story unfold. If the first step becomes consistent communication, then you have more information. If it disappears immediately, you also have information. You do not need to force meaning onto every moment. Let time reveal the truth. My beloved child, you have already spent enough time wondering what they feel. Now let them tell you. You have already spent enough time imagining what they might say. Now let them speak. You have already spent enough time trying to understand their silence. Now let their actions explain it. This is your new position. You do not chase clarity. You receive it. My beloved child, perhaps their heart has finally chosen honesty over pride. This is significant. Pride can keep two people apart even when feelings remain strong. A person can love someone and still refuse to admit it because admitting it means becoming vulnerable. Your soulmate may have spent a long time protecting their ego. They may have wanted to appear unaffected. They may have wanted you to believe they did not care. But now they may realize that protecting their pride cost them something far more valuable. My beloved child, there may be a moment when they finally say the words they once avoided. They may tell you they miss you. They may admit they were wrong. They may confess that they never truly stopped caring. They may say that they tried to move forward but kept thinking about you. They may admit that they were scared. They may explain why they became distant. They may finally tell you what was happening inside them. When that moment comes, listen. But remember, hearing someone is not the same as immediately trusting them. Trust can be rebuilt slowly. My beloved child, you can be compassionate without abandoning your wisdom. You can forgive without pretending the past did not happen. You can care without rushing into the future. You can allow a conversation without making a commitment. These distinctions will protect you. My beloved child, perhaps the greatest sign of change will be their willingness to listen to you. Before, maybe they wanted to explain themselves without hearing your pain. Now, if they have truly grown, they will want to understand your experience. They will want to know how their actions affected you. They will not become defensive every time you express a feeling. They will understand that healing requires both people to speak and listen. My beloved child, this is what mature love looks like. It is not only passion. It is communication. It is not only missing someone. It is making effort. It is not only wanting another chance. It is becoming worthy of that chance. Your soulmate may be beginning to understand this now. My beloved child, perhaps their final choice is not simply to come back to you. Perhaps their deeper choice is to become the kind of person who can love you properly. That is the real transformation. Returning without changing would simply recreate the same cycle. Returning with maturity creates the possibility of something new. My beloved child, do not settle for a return that only brings temporary excitement. Look for a return that brings stability. Look for consistency. Look for emotional availability. Look for respect. Look for accountability. Look for someone who is willing to communicate when things are difficult, not only when everything feels romantic. This is what your heart deserves. My beloved child, you may be tempted to ask when this will happen. You may want an exact date. You may want a specific time. But emotional journeys do not always operate according to the clock. Instead of focusing on when, focus on what. What kind of person are they becoming? What kind of relationship would they be capable of building? What kind of love do you want? What boundaries do you need? What would make you feel safe? These questions are more important than timing. My beloved child, perhaps your soulmate is closer to a decision than you realize. They may be thinking about reaching out. They may be discussing the situation with someone they trust. They may be looking at old memories. They may be reading old messages. They may be wondering whether you still care. They may be imagining the possibility of starting again. But again, let them move from thought to action. You do not need to push them. My beloved child, if they truly choose you, they will eventually demonstrate it. A choice is not only an emotion. It is a pattern of behavior. Choosing someone means making time. Choosing someone means communicating. Choosing someone means respecting them. Choosing someone means protecting the connection. Choosing someone means being willing to work through difficulties. Choosing someone means not disappearing when fear appears. If your soulmate is ready for that, you will see it. My beloved child, perhaps the separation taught them exactly what they needed to learn. They may have discovered that life without your presence was not as easy as they expected. They may have realized that the connection mattered more than their pride. They may have learned that avoiding vulnerability did not protect them from pain. It only prevented them from experiencing the love they wanted. They may have learned that no person can be perfectly replaced because every genuine connection has its own emotional identity. My beloved child, this realization may be bringing them back emotionally before they return physically or verbally. They may already be thinking about you more. They may already be feeling more connected to the memories. They may already be preparing themselves for a conversation. And perhaps this is why you have felt a strange shift inside yourself. Sometimes when we stop forcing an outcome, we become more sensitive to our own emotional changes. You may feel calmer. You may feel less desperate. You may feel that something is different. Whatever you feel, stay grounded. Do not let anticipation control your day. My beloved child, the greatest victory is not getting someone back. The greatest victory is becoming so secure in yourself that you can receive love without losing yourself. If your soulmate returns, let the relationship fit into your life rather than becoming your entire life. Keep your goals. Keep your friendships. Keep your interests. Keep your independence. Healthy love creates room for both people to remain individuals. My beloved child, perhaps this is the new beginning you were preparing for without realizing it. The separation may have forced you to develop emotional strength. It may have taught you to trust your intuition while still requiring evidence. It may have taught you that not every feeling needs immediate action. It may have taught you patience. And now you are ready to approach love differently. Your soulmate may also be approaching love differently. If both of you have genuinely grown, the connection can have a different quality. It can be calmer. It can be clearer. It can be more mature. It can be less about chasing and more about choosing. My beloved child, if they return, do not ask only, do they love me? Ask, can they love me in a way that is healthy for both of us? That is a much stronger question. Feelings matter, but compatibility matters. Intention matters, but behavior matters. Attraction matters, but communication matters. Hope matters, but reality matters. My beloved child, perhaps their heart has finally understood that you were not asking them to give up their freedom. You were asking them to share their life honestly. Perhaps they now understand that commitment is not a prison. It is a choice between two people who value each other enough to build something together. They may now be less afraid of that choice. They may be beginning to see commitment as an opportunity rather than a threat. My beloved child, this change can happen slowly. Do not expect perfection overnight. Growth is often messy. A person can make progress and still have moments of fear. What matters is whether they communicate instead of disappearing. What matters is whether they learn from mistakes instead of repeating them. What matters is whether they are willing to repair instead of avoid. This is the evidence you should watch for. My beloved child, you have already learned what confusion feels like. You know the difference between uncertainty and peace. You know how exhausting mixed signals can become. You know how painful it is to wonder where you stand. You do not need to return to that emotional environment. If your soulmate wants to return, they need to help create something healthier. My beloved child, perhaps their final choice is happening because they finally understand that time cannot be reversed. They cannot return to yesterday and change every decision. They cannot erase every mistake. But they can choose differently today. They can apologize. They can communicate. They can show effort. They can create new memories. They can become more honest. They can choose to stop repeating old patterns. That is what matters now. My beloved child, if they come forward, let the future be built one step at a time. Do not demand that everything be solved in one conversation. Do not expect one apology to erase everything. Do not expect one emotional confession to create permanent security. Let trust grow through repeated evidence. This will protect both your heart and the connection. My beloved child, there may be a moment when they finally realize that the person they were searching for was someone who already understood them. They may recognize that they were looking outward for something they once had in front of them. They may realize that the emotional connection they wanted was not necessarily found in constant excitement but in the comfort of being truly known. They may remember how naturally you understood certain parts of them. And that recognition may become impossible to ignore. My beloved child, perhaps they are also realizing that your love was not perfect, but it was genuine. You had disagreements. You had misunderstandings. You had moments when both of you were imperfect. But underneath those difficulties, there was something real. They may now understand that real relationships are not measured by the absence of problems. They are measured by the willingness to work through problems. If they have learned that lesson, they may be more prepared to build. My beloved child, let this message remind you that you do not have to convince anyone of your value. The right person will eventually recognize it through experience, not persuasion. Your soulmate may be learning this through why.